In today's video, I'm going to share with you 6 ways to elevate your handmade cards. Hello, everyone. This is Mindy Egan on the Alt New YouTube channel, and I want to share with you 6 ways that you can elevate your handmade cards. I'm going to walk you through each of those steps and share tips with you along the way. The product that I'm going to be working with today is the Craft a Flower Carnation Layering Die Set. These have the keyhole system, and there are 3 plates, actually 4 plates in this set. This first one, all of the petals you need for this particular flower are all on one plate. So I die cut all of those out of white cardstock. Then we have another plate. This is for a smaller flower, again with white cardstock. And something really unique about this plate is that on each of those petals, there is a number. So it's going to help tell you how to layer up these dies. So not only do we have the keyhole system, but we also have a number that gets etched onto your cardstock to assist you in layering those up. Then we also have a die set for the leaves, which once again I die cut out of white cardstock and the layering guide on the back to assist you in layering up your flowers. Now let's get started. Now, the first way to level up your cards is by doing ink blending on your die cuts. I started with white cardstock, but you could always start with colored cardstock as well. For the leaves, I am going to be ink blending using the Tropical Forest ink set. So there's 4 colors in this palette, and I started out with the lightest color in there, which was bamboo. I will slowly work my way through all of the colors in this palette to really build up the dimension on my leaves, which is how I like to elevate my die cuts, is by really adding all of that contrast and color. I like starting with a white cardstock because I can softly fade out as I get towards the tips of the leaves to give it that highlight area. To do my ink blending, I am using my 9 by 12 sticky mat to hold my die cuts in place, and I'm using a mix of the mini and the small blending brushes. The sticky mat is also really helpful in holding my ink pad in place while I pick up my ink with my blending brush. Keep in mind when you're ink blending that some of these areas might get hidden once we start tucking them into our arrangement. So you might want to bring your darker color out just a little bit further than I did. I removed my leaves, wiped up my sticky mat, and then I have one of my flowers here that I'm just kind of getting an idea. I'm getting familiar with this die cut piece on how it's going to look when it's all layered together. So this is the smaller of the 2 carnations, and it has the arrow in the center to help us line everything up. And I also use the numbers that are etched onto my cardstock. Now, when I took that apart, I put them in the order that they're going to go when they layer up. I'm going to start with some pink sand ink, which is from the Woodland Escape collection. And this kind of leads into my number 2 tip on how to elevate your cards is I'm going to use some soft colors. Now my other flower is going to be a little bit on the brighter side, but I really think using the mix of a soft color and also a little bit brighter of a color for a flower is going to help make them stand out a little bit more on my card project. I don't use all of the colors in this particular ink collection. I only went through 2 of them, so I ended on Dusty Rose. And keep in mind that some of these areas that I ink blended are going to get covered up once we start gluing them together to form our flower. So again, you might want to extend your darker color just a little bit or kind of give it a test run once your colors are blended on there and see if you need to add more color. Another tip I want to share is when you're attaching your flower together, I am only adding glue to the center point, so around that keyhole system. And that's going to help me where I can kind of zhuzh up the petals if I want to add a little bit more dimension to them. This is the larger of the 2 flowers, and I am going to be using the Red Sunset ink collection for these, starting with the blush ink, which is the lightest color out of there. When I am blending, I am going almost all the way to the edges, kind of fading off into the white to get a highlight area on the edge of the petals. And then I will slowly build up that color to build that dimension on each of these flower petals. For this particular flower, because I did want to go a little bit more on the brighter side, I am going to use all of the colors out of this collection. So the second one was Rouge. The third one here is crimson, and I'm going to be careful with the crimson and the velvet. I don't want it to really overpower my petals. And each time I'm blending, I kind of take it back just a little bit so that I still can see all of those colors transitioning through the petals. But again, keep in mind that some of these areas may be hidden as we start layering the flower together. As I get towards these smaller pieces, which are the ones that I know are going to be kind of in the forefront, I am going to come in kind of heavy handed on those because those are going to be right in the center. So then I can just line up the triangle on this one. I'm only adding liquid glue right around that triangle shape to attach it. And again, that's going to help kind of fluff up my flower a little bit and give me a little bit more wiggle room to play if I want to tuck things in. Then, as I finish up adding my last piece to cover up that keyhole system, I have a beautiful flower. Now, I actually have two in one here for tips to elevate your cards, and one that is using dark background colors. So, for this, I am using Winter Lake cardstock. And then the next tip that kind of goes with it is adding subtle texture to your background. I'm starting with adding my Winter Lake cardstock onto my plantain, and I'm holding that down with a low tack tape just in the corners of the cardstock. And to add my subtle texture, I'm using the stone wall press plate. So I'm going to place that within the A2 guidelines on my chase. And then I am going to ink up this press plate with the Winter Lake ink. So I'm going for that tone on tone. It's going to be like almost a watermark effect, which kind of leads into that subtle texture of a background. I don't want my background to overpower my flowers, but I do like to add just a little bit of something to the background. So once I flipped my plate over, I can run this through my Platinum 6 die cut machine to press that together and leave that gorgeous impression on the cardstock. My next tip is going to be adding splatters to my background. I am fully a team splatter person, and I do like to use the titanium gouache from Altenew to do this. I put a little bit onto my work surface and then mix it up with one of the Altenew paint brushes. I'm going to do some test splatters first off on the side there in my splat box and then come on to my card project. So I get an idea if I have too much paint on there or not enough, maybe too watery. And this is totally optional, but I do think it just kind of helps bring a little something to the background. Then I don't want to smear my splatters, so I do dry that with a heat tool. And I trimmed the panel down to 3 3/4 by 5 inches. And I'm adding foam tape to the back of the card panel. The foam tape is actually going to play a double role in my card project. Now, the base card panel that I have there is sapphire cardstock. Again, it is a dark background. So you can see that my flowers and my leaves are really going to pop off of the front of this card. And here is where my foam tape is going to play that double role for me, is not only did it help kind of give me a little dimension to my background, but I'm placing a little bit of foam tape behind the center of my flowers. And the key thing I really want to draw attention to is that I only place that foam tape behind the center. What that does is allow me room to tuck my leaves in. I did attach some of that foam tape behind all of the leaves, but because I only have foam tape in the center of the flowers, I have a lot of wiggle room to tuck my flowers in and really get it in there or maybe extend them out. But because I only use that minimal amount for the flowers, it's giving me so much more room to work with. You could also add a little bit of liquid glue behind your foam tape, and that would give you even more wiggle room if you're a little unsure exactly of where to place the leaves. Now, for the sentiment, I used the One Go Solid Sentiment Strips press plate. I did a bunch of these one time in a crafty work session, so I have a bunch of these ready to go that I just used with black ink and have it trimmed out into a thin strip. I added foam tape behind that as well, and I can place that right up on top over my leaves and flowers. And because I'm placing it over a very colorful and bright area, it's going to help make that sentiment pop off the card a little bit. Then I can finish it off by trimming off any of the excess that's overhanging the edge of the card and add it to a card base. So there we went through 6 ways to elevate your handmade card designs, which is ink blending, using soft colors, dark background, subtle texture, splatters, and foam tape. Let me know down in the comments which one of those was your favorite. If you enjoyed today's video and techniques, be sure to like and subscribe to the Altenew YouTube channel. Thank you all so much for spending time with me today.
Hey there, Lydia here. I really do hope that you've just enjoyed the video. If so, please subscribe to the Altenew YouTube channel. Also, turn on the notification bell so you can get your daily dose of crafty techniques and tutorials just like this. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.